Hi there, my name is Phixfox, and welcome to Phixfox Shoutcasts. This is the series where you take the time to play Heroes of Might and Magic, you record those videos, you send them to me, and then I get the opportunity to hype you up. And today is going to be us watching Winimaru's playthrough of Potluck, the map that was the subject of contention, call it, for the KhelbensCoinTV Open not too long ago. It was an excellent map designed by the many participants of Ross's community over there at KhelbensCoinTV, and they made a lovely map. And I have to tell you, Winimaru tied for first place. He was co-champions at a blistering 24 days, along with my other friend, Mushanki Pet. Something about those French players, they tend to do exceptionally well on these sorts of challenges. Very interesting indeed. And so therefore, I have to ask myself, what do I have to learn from them? And so, along with my little co-announcer here, yeah, that's right. This is the first time you've seen my little Fix baby since December. Ah, look how big he is. We're going to be watching this playthrough, and we're going to do our very, very best to give you all the insights that I can, knowing that I also got to compete in this playthrough, and I will tell you everything I possibly can tell you about this playthrough. So first off, a couple of things. Number one, Winimaru was gracious enough to allow us to have some insight into his basic strategy. He indicated that the map is based around seas and whirlpools, and therefore he did want to play sorceresses to take advantage of the advanced navigation. The blue and the yellow positions he chose as the strongest because they had the close access to the sea and lots of dwellings. It's very nice because I and Mushanki Pet also identified that sorceresses were good and the blue and yellow position. So between those blues and yellows and the sorceresses, we all agreed on that. But Winimaru preferred the blue position over the yellow position because it had a larger starting biome and more connections to the other colors, and 3 archers' dwellings that will be precious. Very interesting. I love that very, very much. He saw something that I did not see, and I love this. I want to see how he leverages these 3 archer dwellings into something lovely. But yes, once blue is chosen, the strategy to be fast as possible, you got to use multiple heroes, and you have to save turns that way. Winimaru does an excellent job. He's an excellent strategist when it comes to using multiple heroes. Some people don't like to use multiple heroes. Sometimes that's me, and they like to prefer to use one hero. He does an excellent job in using many heroes, and that's going to be on full display here today. He notes that with a little army of dwarves, you can take the red castle. There is the green castle not too far away from that. The archer backup should help there. And then he notes that a 4 Phoenix army can be used to clear out the other enemies, specifically the orange enemies by boat, which means he must build the Phoenix in week 1, but that there is a trading post given that the blue position has one not too far away, which is pretty nice. And then he's also noted, by the way, thanks to the hero chain and winning, that despite his best efforts, he noticed on his playthrough that there were some mistakes, some things that he would improve in the future, and I think that we're going to see what those things are very, very soon. So with no further ado, folks, I say that we just dive right in and we watch this playthrough, and we have a really nice time doing so. Are you ready? Are you locked and loaded, my little Fix kid? All right, I'm going to have to believe you. Don't lie to me. It's your time to shine. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, so at this point, Ross has just said to the competitors, 1, 2, 3, go. We've gotten the countdown, and it looks like it's going to be Winimaru from the blue position as the sorceress, as we mentioned, and he's going to have multiple knight friends. He's going to start off with a sorceress hero in his tavern, and he's going to have Vesper the Warlock. Now, that's kind of interesting because you never know. What hero exactly do you want? What is going to be the best for this strategy? It looks like we picked up 2,000 gold, 1,000 gold, and a little bit extra, and that was not a good enough start. It looks like Winimaru's decided, no, I need more sorceresses. We talked about the advanced navigation and how important that is. With 2,000 gold from that treasure chest, another 1,500 there, and then it looks like another 800 right there. Winimaru is happy with this start, and he will not restart again. So 3 sorceresses on the table: Natasha, Ariel, and more to come very, very soon. It looks like he's going to send 1 single sprite along with Ariel to the south. Natasha also has 1 single sprite, although in the early game and in the early goings, you're going to see Winimaru go back and forth with multiple heroes and trading these forces again and again and again. 46 sprites, 16 dwarves. That's a pretty big fighting force, and with the hill fort not too far away, it looks like that is going to be a very fearsome fighting force indeed. By the way, worth noting that it may be possible, and in the first restart it was not critical for this, but it is possible that the sorceresses will not start off with the dwarven cottage, and if they do not, there's a bit of an issue there that might prompt an immediate re-trigger or a restart. I know that that was one of the things that I identified for my start, was that I would restart in the event that I did not get a certain early mishmash of troops. For me, if you're going to take the early sorceresses, you have a strategy that is going to revolve around lots of sprites. But even if that is your strategy, you must have a strong backbone of dwarves, those nice level 2 creatures with 20 hit points, doing 2 to 4 damage each, to back you up for the upcoming fights. There's always going to be a point where sprites, though agile, will also be very fragile. And therefore, having the dwarves can do an awful lot of good for you. Note the use of the nice bless to bring those stacks down. It looks like there was only a few losses there, a couple of the single stacks, and that leaves us with 42 of the sprites and 16 of those battle dwarves now. Looks like it's going to be another hero, possibly. It looks like we're going to avoid the necromancer Darlena, although she may pop up in a little bit down the road. But for now, it's very clear to me anyway that the gargoyles as 6-speed flying creatures can be critically important for any commander of the armies. They just provide a lot of flexibility. To first and foremost, if you have a 6-speed creature, as it looks like we're using right now, that 6-speed creature is going to increase the speed of your adventuring heroes. And I think that Winnie Maru wants a really nice fast start. It's a little bit unclear to me as he takes the expert scouting over the wisdom. It's very clear to me that he has much of this map that he still needs to get into. He needs to explore so he can figure out what is going to be best for him. He's going to pick up the well here on day 1. Interesting strategy. You have the possibility of picking up a dwelling with the elves. You could pick up a mage guild. There's lots of opportunities. He's decided to go for the low cost option, but critical option in week 1 of a well. You're going to want to get the well at some point. If you get it day 1, that means you're not going to have to worry about it, and you're going to have enough gold left over for any other purchases. 200 gold remains in his bank account, and now he's up to 1200 here on day 2. And so we do have the force going over, it looks like kind of to the west there, dwarves and sprites. At this point in the playthrough, I thought to myself, well, you have 15 dwarves, you certainly want to get those turned into battle dwarves. I did not look at the blue position nearly as well as I should have. Folks, what we're going to find in a little bit is that to the west of this position, Winnie Maru is going to have another hill fort available to him, and that hill fort is going to be used to upgrade those other 15 dwarves. So he's going to take a movement penalty for the next couple of days, but he's spied some opportunities on the adventure map that he must take advantage of before anything else happens. Thankfully, sprites are going to make very quick work of these rangers and archers. There's no chance for minimal losses here. You're going to take some losses. It's going to happen, but knowing that there's dwarves coming up into the fray, yeah, you can only take a few of these fights before your sprite army is completely exhausted. For now, it looks like Winnie Maru is going to win this fight. Will the dwarves even get into the fight? Time will tell. There's still 5 archers in the top stack and then 5 archers split between the 2 bottom stacks. It looks like the battle dwarves with their heavy axe will cross the battlefield in 3 turns and win the day. But can you avoid losing heavy losses in the early goings? That was 2 stacks of 14. 2 stacks of 14 sprites. You can only take ranged fights like that so often. And now you have a choice right below you with these centaurs. You can fight them. They're going to be easier to deal with than the level 2 archers, given the centaurs are tier 1 creatures with only 5 HP. But all the same, you can only take so many ranged creature fights before your sprite stack is completely exhausted, and you end up taking more damage to your very valuable battle dwarves. It seems to me that we're going to end up losing, I would reckon, maybe 1 to 2 of these battle dwarves. The sprites have, again, as I've said, been exhausted, but the dwarves, very tanky units, very quality, and all of the centaurs at this point are going to be doing half damage. Will we even lose 1 dwarf? We did lose 1 battle dwarf, so there you have it. And so we are adventuring on the western side of the map, taking gold where we can over experience. I think that Winnie Maru has identified that you only need lots of level 1 heroes. You don't actually need one really excellent hero. You just need lots of wonderful heroes with lots of adventuring that they can do. And so between the choice of the gold or the experience, there's no choice. I mean, you must have the gold so you can get the forces. And if he's going to, in week 1, pick up the phoenixes, then you're going to need, just under 20,000 gold, because you know that your phoenixes are going to be a 10,000 gold investment for the red tower, not to mention unicorn paddock at 4,000 gold, not to mention your standing stones at 3,000 gold, not to mention, he still needs elves and whatnot. So any amount of gold he finds, that's still going to be very, very useful for him. He's up to 4,500 gold right now, and he's going to take the statue. So the well and the statue. He's going to rely on the troops he has in these heroes to really kind of carry the early game fights for him. He's not going to get up to elves, and he's not going to get up to druids. He's just going to adventure on the map and find what he can. Oh, and look, it may be that one archer's house, he had talked about how valuable those were going to be, 3 archer's houses. It looks like one of them might be unguarded entirely. Maybe you just need to bypass those wolves. Yeah, it's possible you can slide right by them without any issues there. But here's one of our first archer's houses. 12 archers from that archer's house. I have seen upwards of 20 to 25 archers out of an archer's house in week 1. So it's worth noting that there's a wide swing of archers that you can get from any archer's house. You got to keep a good eye on that, because you never know exactly what you're going to get. Oh, are you trying to tell me something? Yes. Yes. Phixfox Kid, do you have any analysis on Winimaru's position at this point as he masses dwarves and archers and sends them west? What do you think about this terrain? Is this good terrain or is this bad terrain? The answer is, of course, that this is negligible terrain. The early goings, especially when you have forces in these small of amounts, the whole hope is that you can split up the enemy's forces. Now, not always are you able to, but what is the value in only dealing with one stack of enemies at a time? You're only going to take so much damage at any given moment, and therefore you can sometimes avoid damage by striking first or striking harder or faster. In this case with the terrain, all of the enemies were sent immediately south. There's no way you can split them up. There's no way you can handle these stacks one by one. And so I think that hasting, or rather blessing, the big stack of regular dwarves is definitely a worthy endeavor, and that will win the fight with no major problems. I don't anticipate any problems here, but anything you can do to mitigate losses is always going to be worth it. So looks like 5 dwarves total, a few of the red variety and a few of the blue variety. The hill fort that we were talking about earlier, it was right there. So we got a hill fort there, no major issues to deal with once we are able to get all those dwarves up to 4-speed creatures. So again, it'll be about 2 days worth of movement time. That was a big pickup right there. If you did not notice, that was 2 gems out of the windmill. We do need to get up to 10 gems in order to get the unicorn paddock in week 1. And while there is a trading post nearby, you are going to need to leverage whatever resources you possibly can to get mercury. 20 mercury is going to be the tip. And so if you can find any amount of gems, that'll eliminate one of your bottlenecks that will keep you from your prized possession, which is your red tower here in week 1. On to day 4, we've got 43 wood, 9 mercury, 30 ore, 14 sulfur, 13 crystal, 7 gems. So we need 7 more gems. Let's see, we do need, about 11 more mercury. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And we can also make sure our heroes have as much movement points as possible. So we've got centaurs. I'm a little bit interested. Winimaru is choosing not to dismiss the centaur. So on the one hand, he's trying to be as fast as possible. And on the other hand, he's saying, yeah, but I might need these centaurs for later. They might be valuable at a point that to this point he's just not familiar with. And so he's keeping them around for who knows exactly what. I don't know exactly what, but he's got a plan there, I am sure. So the dwarves have been upgraded into the battle dwarves. There are minotaur kings, there's minotaurs, 4-speed and 6-speed. This is one of those times where, because of the speed of the creatures that you are dealing with in these stacks, they are kind of splitting themselves up a little bit here. The terrain is nice as well. He had a choice there. Do you want to send the 37 battle dwarves into those 2 minotaur kings? If he did, he would have been woefully out of position. He would have taken a little bit of damage, more than he would have preferred, I am sure. And still, well, yet again, he's got the choice. The top stack of minotaur kings, are they going to fight you? Are you going to be able to deal with them? Are you going to win? It seems that Winimaru has decided, look, I will lose dwarves all day, every day. In that case, 5 dwarves, but I will not lose any amount of my 12 archers. I'm wondering if those 12 archers are the insurance policy to make sure that you avoid bad RNG when it comes to fighting a castle. Of course, when you're fighting a castle, the catapult is going to launch rocks, and unless you have ballistics, you don't get to choose. You don't get to choose where the rocks will hit, and you don't even get to choose all the time if the rocks will fully destroy a section of the wall. By the way, 22 archers right there. The first archer's house was 12. This one was 22. Quite a big swing, don't you think? And then the archers can potentially, from afar, the 12 archers, help you take a castle. And without them, you might spend forever knocking on the door and taking damage from the left turret, right turret, and the main Main turret. Yes, that's the many turrets that there are. By the way, we did finally just see the 4-speed centaurs getting dismissed from that army. Could have done it before, but then again, there's 2 sets of centaurs there on the map. So, maybe those centaurs will still play into and factor into the plans. No, never mind. But who could have guessed? Even the great Phixfox, even the great Winnie Maru could not have guessed exactly whether or not those centaurs would be needed until maybe perhaps more of the adventure map was opened up to them. Level 1 Mage Guild, is he going to check? No, he's getting the Mage Guild strictly because he needs that as a prerequisite for his druids. Notice that he picked up a level 1 Mage Guild and he didn't even care about what spells he got. At this point, it doesn't seem like spells really are going to factor into Winnie Maru's plans. For me, I immediately, day 1 and day 2, got up to a level 2 Mage Guild because I figured to myself, well, look, with these extra spells, I can clear out my little corner of the map here. Yellow player, which is opposite of blue, basically start off on an island in the very center of the map to the south of this blue player's position. And by doing that, the magic could be an opportunity to equalize things. They might be able to make up for troop losses. For me, that was my strategy. Maybe in this blue position, Winnie Maru said, yes, I've looked at this, I've tried this, and it's just not going to work. By the way, folks, very fearsome combatants here. These 6-speed nomads are going to be a bit of a pain. Note again, we are once again keeping the archer safe. Oh, but look at this. If you're going to attack with the 31 battle dwarves and keep the archer safe, you absolutely must, non-negotiable, attack that one single nomad. And that feels pretty bad. It always feels bad to leave some damage on the table. But yet again, the dwarves are not impetuous. They are very disciplined. They are standing at attention and defending their archers with their last breath. And so we're going to get through the nomads, no problems. That's an opportunity where I could see someone saying on the battlefield, yes, it's all good and well to protect the archers, but I will lose just a few archers and maybe, save a few dwarves as well. Winnie Maru is doing an excellent job of making sure that his win conditions are kept intact and in stride. Windmill could have been an opportunity for some of that mercury we were talking about a little bit earlier. Oh, and folks, look at this. Oh, this is devastation. Heartbreak. This gold mine in the swampy area is guarded by ghosts. Now, that's a big deal because you never know what exactly the guardians are going to be. That's right, you don't know. It could be anything. You have no idea what the guardians are going to be. In that case, the guardians were ghosts. I don't know how big of a deal that gold mine is. I don't know how much that's going to factor into Winnie Maru's plans, but it's possible, it's very possible that indicates that he's never going to pick up that gold mine. We will have to wait and see. Ghosts guarding that gold mine, low level 1 and 2 tier creatures are not going to be able to take that very easily. So maybe if he is able to get to Phoenixes here in this first week, he's going to have to send them south to this other possible win condition that he didn't plan on. That might be an instance of really bad luck. Folks, it's day 6. So we got 2 more days to get up to our Phoenixes. And did you notice campfire there? That was 6 mercury from that campfire. That was a big campfire. So we are up to 15 units of mercury. There's 4 more. We're up to 19 units of mercury. Winnie Maru with a slight, sly smile. I think that he recognized that one of the biggest barriers to his success, whether or not you have a trading post, was just eliminated. That feels excellent. Note that we are using 2 heroes in tandem and making sure that the best and most primary hero has the gargoyle in it. That's going to make sure that that hero has the best speed possible. It's a small thing, but using 2 heroes in tandem actually does something rather wonderful for you. By making sure one of your heroes can be as fast as possible, you are going to save yourself over the course of a game an awful lot of time. And when the name of the game is to win this scenario in as few of days as possible, trust me, folks, you better consider doing that. 1 more campfire, that's going to be 6 more wood. And off we go, off to the races. Note that that hero is not going to step on that witch's hut. It seems to me that Winnie Maru is saying secondary skills, not as valuable. This would be a time where Phixfox father would point out and say, Winnie Maru, it's 1 step out of your way. Shouldn't you just pick up the secondary skill just in case? To which Winnie Maru would say, no. I don't feel the need for that. Did you notice Winnie Maru decided not to step on that golden watch? The golden watch artifact doubles the effectiveness of your hypnotize spell. Of course, that's a tier 5 spell. Now, it's possible that you could pick it up just for funsies, but anytime you pick up any artifact, it is possible that you will run into a group of rogues that are hidden in the underbrush and waiting for some unlucky traveler to wander right into their trap. it is reasonable to me to believe that to avoid poor RNG, that Winnie Maru will say, no, I will not pick up useless artifacts just because I don't want to lose a hero that has one single unit on it. Folks, speaking of RNG, did you notice 35 rogues just joined the main force? That is going to be Rebecca heading to the west, and she is doing something wonderful. Oh, and is that going to be Ariel? Maybe is going to pick up the Badge of Courage, whereas the Hypnotize artifact, the Golden Watch, might not be that valuable because you're never really going to use it. The Badge of Courage, it's going to be really useful because everybody can use some good morale today, tomorrow, all the time. Good morale is always good. So we're always going to use that as best as we can. All right, and here it is, folks, the big trade. You need 30 units of ore and you need 20 units of mercury. You had 60 extra wood to get you there, folks. I think the Winnie Maru, look at his reaction. Yep, okay, animated. He feels good about that. I think that if you do not get your phoenixes in week 1, I think that Winnie Maru's whole strategy would fall apart. And I do believe that he would say to himself, I must restart. But no, he got the RNG he was looking for. I think that he's feeling great about his run at this point. You would have to ask him, but I got a feeling that he's feeling A-okay about this. Note, we're still taking the gold. Still taking the gold. And with Red's Castle right in view, we got a nice opportunity in front of us. This is day 1. So because blue player is going to go before red player, more or less, what that means is that this enemy player is not going to get the opportunity to resupply their forces here on day 1. So it looks like it's going to be 4 archers, 49 peasants, and 5 of the pikemen. They are led by Sir Gallant, the knight. It's going to be Steelskin right onto those 12 archers. And thankfully, I mean, if we didn't have those 35 rogues, I think that this would be a little bit more of a close fight than you would prefer to have. But once we take out the enemy's ranged creatures, it's highly likely that the AI is going to say, well, we ought to sally forth from the castle and try and do some damage in that way. We will see if they do. That's going to be negative morale on our 12 archers. That is one of the problems by trying to rally some knight forces, some sorceress troops, and the neutral rogues into one fighting force. Will it work? Yes. Is it always advisable? No. But we've gotten out of this fight. It cost us 8 battle dwarves. And if you can tell, as we pick up the advanced pathfinding, there is the red player. There's one more red knight hero just in the bottom right there. Yes, Winnie Maru's identified that. And so one of the hard parts about playing this game and playing for the shortest amount of time possible might actually be knowing when to chase after an enemy and when not to. At this point, red player must be defeated, but I don't think that Winnie Maru plans on finishing the scenario in the next 7 days. So while you could lose your head and chase after that red player, I think that he's recognized, I'm guessing that he's realized, I don't really need to go and chase after every hero at this point. So long as they do not have access to another castle or another town, so long as I'm able to defend the castle that I just took from them, then I should be able to just hold this position, and in 7 days they will expire. In Heroes of Might and Magic 1, 2, and 3 and beyond, all of your heroes will abandon you and abandon the cause in the event that you do not have a town or a castle to call home. Of course, who wants to follow a leader that is kingdom of just a little spit of land that doesn't actually exist? No. If you want heroes, you have to have somewhere for them to call home. And so you might as well not chase after that red hero. Will he chase after them? Will he not? That will be the question, folks. He has traded for enough mercury. He has 4 phoenixes. These 4 phoenixes on Gem the Sorceress are heading to the south, it appears. Through pikemen, through rangers, through lots of different creatures, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And this is way better than the alternative, which would be to only have at this point 1 phoenix. If you got these phoenixes on day 1 instead of day 7, you would absolutely be losing out on a tremendous fighting force. Now, it's possible that even with 1 phoenix that you could clear out many of these neutral creatures, but do you really want to do that? Do you really want to miss out on 3 extra phoenixes? Of course, the answer is no. Now, the question in my mind is going to be this. So I think that Winnie Maru indicated that the phoenixes would need to head to the orange player. The orange player is in the right-hand bottom corner of the map. Not quite into the corner, but more in that cracked earth sort of section that you can see not too far away. So we've already defeated the red player's castle in the upper left. We are the blue player in the 12 o'clock position. We have the purple player in the upper right corner. Below the red player's castle, which we have just recently defeated, we do have the red player's castle directly south of that position. which is going to be a little bit interesting. How do we get to that castle knowing that there is a river between us and that? And we also have the yellow player, the yellow sorceress. Well, for me, it was sorceress. The yellow player is going to be in the middle of an island to the south of all these other positions. Why are you so sad? We're going to take a break. We'll take a break and we'll come right back because I don't want you to be sad. Yeah. Alrighty. My co-companion, my co-shoutcaster, he needed a little bit of attention. And I'm so glad he let me know. Oh no, you're so sad? Oh no, never mind. Stop. Pause. Okay. Gosh, he's cute, but dude, you can't be on camera and doing what you just did. I know what you did. Okay, so as we're here, we're fighting these earth elementals, and I love this, what Winimaru just did. In case you missed it, he sent one single rogue to the upper right corner of the map. What did that do? In this battle, he displayed his high level of battle acumen by letting the earth elementals have someone that they could attack far, far away from the others. As you could tell, with just having some single stacks of rogues, you might run afoul of some issues in the event that the AI is going to clump around you with all these big earth elementals by sending the single stacks to the upper right corner. Some of the earth elementals followed them back, and this 2,500 gold from this demon cave, totally worth it. Totally necessary. Just in case you hadn't noticed, without that, we had 350 gold left in the treasury. That's not enough. And so, very happy to see that Winimaru is doing a very nice job of that. He is noting something. If you just noted, he says Rebecca's got very, very low movement points. He may not want to fight this fight, but he's going to do it all the same. 21 archers, up from 12 because he was able to get about 10 plus archers from the archery range in that night castle. It looks like that number is going to fall back down into the 17 range. Very unfortunate to see there, but so long as Rebecca can get into the water today, I think that we're going to be just fine. Not to mention there were 5 pikemen that he's left behind in that castle as defenders to avoid that red knight from creeping around, and Rebecca does in fact make it into that boat on this day 2 of week 2. The question that you might have, and the question that I have as well, is Winimaru going to go and pick up every little ounce of flotsam and treasure chest, everything he can find out in the ocean? If he can, that would be wonderful. Folks, that was a big RNG moment. Did you just notice? Winimaru, as opposed to having to fight the 4-speed elves, he has picked up 18 elves that have joined him for free. Absolutely for free. That's a big moment. That's a huge moment. That's not a small thing, because those elves, number one, you don't have to fight them yourself, and number two, 18 elves can be the difference in later fights from either winning outright with a secondary hero or chasing down some major objective like a castle or something. Perhaps this is the bit of RNG that will define this run. Time is going to tell, but for now, 18 elves is looking mighty fine, especially when they are backed up by those phoenixes. Looks like we're going to be out of movement points there on Ariel and Rebecca. Gem is still cruising around with her phoenixes there. This is interesting to me. Now we know that purple is to the east of this exact position. It looks like we're going to try and do a little bit of a hero chain. Yes, we're going to do a little bit of a hero chain. It's going to be Ari that picks up these phoenixes to be the most effective with them. Is the one gargoyle going to go over? No, Gem is going to keep these forces. So rather than walk to the east with the phoenixes, we're doing some hero chain sort of a deal. And it looks like Ari might be heading to the coast. Is he going to simply give all these creatures over to Rebecca, who's currently in the water? Time will tell. But I think that in the next couple of turns, we're going to see a coalescence of all of the different heroes, and they're going to work synergistically together to create a nice long hero chain. Day 1 of the upcoming week is going to be really, really nice. And so right now, you might say to yourself, Winimaru, you've got 7 heroes. You can't possibly use them all effectively. Surely you have over-purchased on heroes. To which Winimaru will tell you, no, I have not. Winimaru has a plan in mind, and we're going to see over the next couple of turns, before day 1 of the new week, we're going to see all of this work together for his good. There is the upgraded range for the elves into grand elves. And so it seems to me that those 18 elves, perhaps he was not going to make that upgrade. Perhaps he did not want to ever go into the grand elf upgrade. It's a great one. It's wonderful. You ought to do it if you can. But maybe that was not the strategy until he saw that he could upgrade 18 of those elves. It's going to be 7 pikemen, I crave your pardon, and then a fistful of peasants that are going to hold on to that castle in the upper left. And so long as red does not take another town or castle, and which Winimaru knows is nowhere nearby, he's going to be in a good position. We are ignoring Flotsam. We are picking up treasure chests. That's 3,000 gold from treasure chests. There's a possibility, yes, as we go to Natasha and this other hero that's going to have all of these forces, it's quite possible at some point you're going to see Winimaru take forces and take troops and then dismiss heroes when their usefulness has exceeded their current time here. If you dismiss a hero, if you have up to 8 heroes on the adventure map, there may come a time where you say, look, I need to let go of one of my heroes so that I can get them rehired or get a different hero rehired at a different castle. I think that you might see with an excess of gold, Winimaru might use that strategy. We may never see another tier 6 creature on this whole entire adventure map. This might be the one time that we see a tier 6 creature in these phoenixes. He might not ever upgrade another single castle at any point. Folks, the ghosts are done. They are dead. They are dusted. And now Winimaru is looking at this. He's saying, do I go through these rogues? I think he's going to say yes. He's going to intimidate them and they're going to get out of his way. I think that what you saw there is that he was trying very specifically to consider, is he pathing correctly by following the road, or is he pathing more correctly by manually deciding where he's going to go? Winimaru, of course, did the wonderful 7 deserts map. It was a logistical challenge. And so I would highly recommend that you go and try that map if you have not already tried it. You're going to find in his map that he has put on full display what being logistically sound on the adventure map can do to you. For example, do you move north, east, south, and west, or do you move in diagonals? Well, of course, Winimaru knows that moving in diagonals can cost you more movement points. And he knows that moving by roads is going to be better for you. He understands that the direction in which you attack, like these things do matter. And so I think that that was a decision that he purposely made to try and figure out, does he have enough movement points? What is going to be the very best for him? Fighting for every scrap of movement points. That is the Winimaru that I am always happy to see. So we've seen the red players heroes, and we have seen the purple players heroes. We have not yet seen anything hide nor hair of green. We might have seen green at one point peeking out to the west of one of the evil eyes, one of the Hut of the Magi eyes. We might have seen green once, but for sure we have not seen yellow, and to my recollection we have not seen orange. So it's going to be, with this hero swap, it's going to be, call it 30 of these rogues, 22 of these battle dwarves, 66 of these archers. This can absolutely take a wonderful castle for you, folks. Winimaru has identified one of the most important features of this map. There are many yellow barriers on this map. It's the only type of tent on this map, to my recollection. If you can get the yellow tent that is hidden behind a whirlpool, you have access to yellow's castle, you have access to purple's castle, oh goodness, you have access to many different parts of the map, and traveling by Lith is always much faster, of course, than traveling in any other sort of mean walking around. Your horse does tend to get rather tired. Do you not want to save your horse the headache? So therefore you must consider the yellow tent going through this barrier, and then to the south of that position there will be a Lith system that can connect you to anywhere you might want to go. Heading on back, it's tough to say perhaps who's going to be your main hero. At this point, remember, the Phoenixes are on gem. Yeah, they are on gem, but is she your main hero? Again, we're not really having a main hero. Everybody needs to pull their weight here. But I think that we're also going to see Rebecca and Natasha factor very highly into Winimaru's plans. I think that those are going to be the 3 heroes really to look out for. Vesper, Myra, Aerie, and Ariel. I don't think that they're going to, other than in passing, have much to do with the actual fighting of forces. They're going to be logistically very important. But what is this logistical choice here? This is trying to figure out at this point with Vesper, okay, is he going to get into this boat? Is he going to wait to have somebody else get into the boat? Remember, Vesper might have taken these Phoenixes for a short time to use them for fighting purposes and make sure that they don't run out of movement. But it is more than likely that Winimaru is going to try and use a sorceress with their advanced navigation that they start off with to get the movement bonus in water. So Gem is not too far away. She still does have some movement points. Can she reach in one day? It looks like the answer is no. But while Vesper could get into the water right now, he could get into that boat, Winnie Maru is saying no. No. It is worth one full extra day's worth of movement points, knowing that I will move that much faster on the water for all subsequent turns because of the advanced navigation. So there's definitely a strategy that was in place at the very beginning, and Winnie Maru was deciding to still continue with that. And my co-commentator is absolutely agreeing with that. Absolutely just stunning there. There's the upgrade of the elves. There's now up to 18 of them. It was 14, then plus 4 because you got these troops on the beginning of the new day. There's another 10. That's a big stack of grand elves. Now, very important to note, this scenario was played... Dude. This scenario was played with... Oh, farts are never not going to be funny, especially from a small child your size. That's crazy. This map was played knowing that the goal is to have as few in-game days as possible, but there is also a time limit. So with 6-speed Grand Elves, there's a lot of these fights that you could potentially infinitely kite your enemies through. You could spend the time in every single battle and you could micromanage and make sure that with some nice 6-speed creatures, you could clean up dwarves. You could maybe clean up Medusa. You know, you could give them a little bit of a runaround. Whatever the case is, though, I think that Winnie Maru has a great combination of adventure map logistics and in-battle tactics. We've seen several times that he is clicking through a battle very, very quickly, but also very, very efficiently. He is able, in less time than it took Phixfox, to finish the game in half as many days as Phixfox. I'm very impressed. It's a rare combination, and all of this, of course, would be for naught if Winnie Maru was to lose, if he was able to, lose a main hero or somehow fumble or make a blunder. But we've seen no blunders. We will see no blunders in this playthrough. This playthrough is going to be practically perfect from Winnie Maru. He will discuss, and we will see later on, one major blunder that he is going to say, oh, I should have done this differently. This was a mistake from Winnie Maru. But I will just give you a little bit of a heads up right now. Winnie Maru played this map perfectly, and sometimes RNG just kind of happens. Room for improvement? Well, of course. I think that there can still be a tremendous amount of time that's knocked off of this playthrough, but when it comes right down to it, I think that you're going to see nothing but excellence from Winnie Maru here. By the way, I heard from Mushankipe, sorry. So I'm so sorry. My friends, one time there's been one or two people that have said, as I slur my words on Twitch stream, that I say Mushankipet, and it sounds like my chunky pet. I'm really sorry. Because now that I've said it that way, now I always end Mushankipe with a T, the hard T that you would find in English, and it's my failure, and I apologize to my friend Mushankipe. So I will do better to get that correct, because a name is one of the most important things you can get, because it proves to that person that you know who they are and you care about them. But Mushankipe has mentioned that Winnie Maru did, in his attempts, figure out how to beat the map in 20 days. Now, his final time in this run is going to be 24 days. He's going to have 4 days above that. And so we know that there can be time knocked off, and yet still, this was still a tremendous play. All right, folks, Vesper and Gem, they have had their little meeting, and it's going to be Gem with the 4 Phoenixes, the Gargoyle, the 8 of the Druids, not to mention a whole stack of those Grand Elves going into the water. And where shall they go and what shall they do? Time will tell. Folks, this is going to be Rebecca, and she has spotted the Green Castle. Again, Green Knight Castle. Will there be anyone home? That is my question to you. Now, because if there is a enemy hero nearby, by landing right there, you are able to prevent a green hero from coming into the castle to defend. Whatever troops are currently in that castle and whatever heroes they can currently hire in that tavern, that's going to be it. There will be nothing more there. Worth noting that Rebecca and Natasha basically just saw each other and high-fived, and they said, hey, what's up, girlfriend? And then they carried on their way, and Natasha went back through the lifts in this direction. Now, that's interesting to me because it surely could have been Natasha that took out that major force, but I think Winnie Maru identified that the Phoenixes have to be headed in a different direction. He reckons that with the 66 archers and the dwarves, that he can defeat the red, or rather the green enemy castle, and I think that he will do that very, very shortly. But here it is. Mushankipe, or rather, Winnie Maru has gotten to the bottom right of the map, and he's going to use those Phoenixes to take out the one, the only orange player, somewhat secluded from the whole rest of the map. That player is going to give him some fits later. We're going to see that in just a moment or two. All right, it's day 6. Remember what we said. It's going to be a day 1 adventure with lots of this hero chaining. We've got 7 heroes on the adventure map. There is the potential to hire 1 more on day 7 or day 1, and all of those forces are going to then need to go somewhere special. Winimaru is identifying the 2 dwarven cottages up there. I'm guessing that you're going to get about 12 dwarves total here. Yeah, about a week or two later, I'm guessing he's going to find about 12 dwarves amongst those 2 dwarven cottages. We're going to pick up this gold mine in just a moment or two, but first it looks like we're going to look to land here with Gem the Sorceress has to land a little bit to the north of this position. There are coastal reefs and barriers preventing you from landing right on top of your orange foe, but there is a road leading from that little town back to their main castle. Is he going to use the Phoenixes to fight this major force? That's a bit of a question to me. It's worth gold. Gold is good. Greed is good in this game. It looks like it's going to be, let's call it 170, 180 of these skeletons. I think that he's got this well in hand. Let's call it 190 skeletons. That's even a little bit better. Yeah, that's definitely worth it. One thing that Winimaru did very wonderfully there, which I do want to identify, is that every single time that he was going through a whirlpool and he lost a single stack of creatures, he did a good job in making sure that he broke off 1 more single stack of the elves. By doing that, if you do go through the whirlpool and you get unlucky, 33% of the time you will get unlucky, some of your forces will go overboard. They will be tossed headlong into the sea in the maelstrom. And by having the 1 single stack there, that 1 creature will go away instead of half of your big stack. Could you imagine losing 2 Phoenixes? Could you imagine losing 14 of your Grand Elves? Very, very disappointing if you do. And it also had the unintended consequence in that instance with the Whirlpool of actually losing the 6-speed Gargoyle. That is going to increase Winimaru's morale for these upcoming fights. You might have to ask him whether he'd prefer to have the Gargoyle and a little bit worse morale, or if that was overall a net positive for him. The choice is yours. All right, folks, he is setting up this hero chain. Yes, we've got, looks like 4 or 5 heroes right in this sort of area. And he's not doing a very precise calculation. He's not counting out the steps. He's saying, this is close, and close enough is going to do just fine. But this is going to be the difference between a good playthrough, a good run, or a bad run, because instantly you're going to move these troops from your castle 5 days or 6 days out in the big wide world. And that is definitely worth it, if I do say so myself. So that's going to be a couple of dwarves there. This is still the big fight. Oh, this is a big fight. Rebecca does need to take out this green player, West Fork, and then whatever green players are skulking around, they're also going to have to defeat them. What's this, though? 61 peasants. This should be over in 1 turn, unless the enemy is going to cast shield. If the enemy casts shield, then it's going to take probably 2 turns to win this fight. Oh, there's the shield. It's almost like Phixfox knew. I wouldn't know. How would I know? I knew. I totally knew. I felt it in my bones. And that actually, unfortunately, is going to cost 9 archers total. That cost you about 5 additional archers just because of the 1 shield spell. Remember that next time somebody says that the peasant is a useless unit, just recall that it doesn't always have to be there. Folks, that's a big deal. 57 archers upgraded into rangers. Rangers, I would say, are more than twice as good. They double the damage output easily, and going up to 4 speed, that makes this army more than twice as fast. More than twice as fast. It makes it twice as fast. And that's a big deal, folks. Green player here, 15 archers, 12 pikemen, 9 swordsmen, 25 zombies. That's some RNG that you can't really decide on if it's gonna matter from playthrough to playthrough. Interesting to see that. It's slowing down your army, but hey, with leadership for that night, I guess you'll take it. I would personally consider attacking the swordsman here over the pikemen. Oh, thankfully, because of the clever positioning by Winimaru, the swordsman went after the 1 single rogue that they could attack rather than go for the archers that they could attack in 1 turn. That was very, very useful for him, and that saved a lot of damage. Oh, I'm coming, buddy. I'm coming. And with that fight out of the way, folks, is that going to be the end of the green player? The answer is no. There's still more to be had with this green player. And so that was a good castle fight. That was a good green player final track down. Note that whereas with the red player, he just kind of let the red hero wander around. With the green player, he did go and take out that final green player. Now that's very, very interesting. That is the mark of a good player, because I think Winimaru is recognizing, hey, I could maybe end this scenario in the next 7 days. And it would be a real shame if I wasn't trying to track down that one final hero. But if he is able to track down the final green heroes, then maybe he can leave that area. He can abandon that side of the map and then bring those forces back somewhere else. I think Winnie Morrow's very happy about that. So first of all, red players defeated. That's a big deal. That is 1/5 of all of your enemies gone. And then there's a green player that just showed up. That green player is right next to Rebecca, and that should be easy to take out. Winnie Morrow has identified that there's a yellow knight on the high seas. Tyro has landed on the main coast, and he might be a little bit worried about that. If you have to track down an enemy that is just simply wandering around in the Badlands, that can cost you time, that can cost you space. Is this the end of green player, folks? Red and green gone on the same day. Month 1, week 3, day 1. And there's going to be more phoenixes coming from our main sorceress castle. There's going to be more forces in general ready to go. Very, very good. Rebecca, do you go south along the main road or do you go back into the boat? And the answer is back into the boat. If Rebecca does go to the south, we have picked up that yellow tent. Picking up the yellow tent, very good. Picking up the yellow tent means that you can actually, with Rebecca, possibly go through that road into the Lith area, and you might not have to land to find your enemies. There may be some real strategy that Winnie Morrow has decided, no, there's a better way and a better time for dealing with our foes. By land or by sea, he has probably done all of the prep work necessary to figure out which one's going to be faster. I do want to know. I might want to interview Winnie Morrow just a little bit more and ask him, hey, did you identify, like, how many times did you play the map prior to actually loading up for the Khelbens Open? And I'm interested to find out what he says. Folks, 17 dwarves from those 2 dwarf cottages. Phixfox was very wrong. 17 dwarves it is. And once they turn into those battle dwarves, I would say that with the phoenixes, they are better than the sprites. A little bit of that extra chunky sort of hit points, that does help. And folks, 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be the 4th and the 5th hero. This is quite the hero chain. Artifacts and creatures all are going south here. No longer fighting enemy forces. It's possible that by fighting, you could pick up an additional level. I'm not going to judge one way or the other. I think that you've got many opportunities to figure out what's best for you. At this point, this army is about as fast as it can be with these 5-speed creatures. And splitting up the phoenixes to fight this fight, you're going to get out of this fight just a little bit quicker. But I think that really you saved the dwarves on that other hero simply to make sure that 5-speed was going to be your fastest speed creatures overall. Because based off of what I know about the FHeroes2 AI, they might have attacked the elves. It's possible that you might have saved yourself a couple of troops by doing that. Okay, so remember, we got Rebecca out there, we've got Natasha, it looks like, and now we got Gem. Gem is going to be going south after she's picked up this stables. She's going to be at high movement. Winnie Morrow's identified, hey, I'm 1 level away. I'm 200 experience away from picking up a new level. Should I step on this gazebo or not? He does. He gets the 3,000 experience. And this might actually matter. Do you go for the archery, which will help you ignore castle walls a little bit easier and do more damage on the adventure map? Or do you go for ballistics? It's those sorts of choices that Winnie Morrow was saying, okay, the first 2 weeks of this playthrough, very, very important. The last week, this is actually where the map might slow down as Winnie Morrow tries to squeeze every ounce of advantage he can out of this map. And a choice like that at the beginning of the game might not be nearly so valuable as the choice here in the last 7 to 14 days. Oh, very exciting to know that we are getting very, very close to the end here for Winnie Morrow. And so he's sending some heroes, it looks like, to go explore across the adventure map. The question is going to be this: is there going to be one more resupply? Is there going to be one more full week of this map? Time will tell. Time will tell. If you've been paying attention, you will note that that Phixfox already kind of knows the answer, and I might have already said it, but I don't want to ruin this for you. Oh, Winnie Morrow with a smile. Winnie Morrow has a little bit of a smile there. He sees his orange enemy in the castle. He knows all about them. That's not the problem. But the problem that he has identified is Maximus the Knight is currently in the water, not on the coast. Maximus has sailed just far enough away that this land-based force cannot get to him. There is no opportunity to build a boat. There's no shipyard in this castle. And so if Winnie Morrow is going to track down that orange player, he's going to have to find a boat to go and get him. That is going to be disastrous. That is going to be a problem. How do you deal with an enemy that does not want to be captured? What do you do if the AI does not want to cooperate with your plans at finishing the map at record speed? And we're going to have to see what Winimaru does here, because that is potentially a wrinkle in his plans. We have Tyro, the Yellow Knight, out there, who is currently going to cause him some issues because he's going to have to go track that hero down. And he's also going to have to track down this hero in a boat. What if the hero goes from the boat through the whirlpools and you never track them down? Big questions, huge questions there. By the way, this playthrough, as this is a huge moment and taking Orange's Castle is a big deal. The playthrough for the KhelbensCoinTV Open was open to users of the FHeroes2 engine and users of the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Gold engine. I truly believe that Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Gold, the version that you get off of good old games, if you played with that version, you had a distinct disadvantage. FHeroes2 does allow for a player to re-interact with a whirlpool or with a lift by simply hitting spacebar, and so that way you don't lose any movement points if you don't go exactly where you want to the first time. You do run the risk with whirlpools of maybe losing some more forces as you do, but you know, it's a small, negligible sort of a thing. If you played with the Heroes 2 Gold, you do have some issues there, and I do believe that you were at a distinct disadvantage. So that might be something that the KhelbensCoin Twitch TV looks at in the future. Grand Felician and Ross from KhelbensCoinTV. I think that they might want to look at that in the future. Overall, we will have to wait and see. Folks, we have dismissed a hero, so we can rehire a hero in a better position. At this point, it's going to be Astra the Sorceress. Her whole job may just be to hire some of these rangers, and then send them on her way. That's going to be very interesting, just to hire enough creatures in this hero to hand them off to Rebecca so that Rebecca can be even stronger. Every little ounce of advantage, you got to take what you can get. With only 270 gold, though, you can tell the margins for victory are very, very small. So, Rebecca, all of Winimaru's hopes and dreams go with you. Please do not fall prey. Don't fall prey to going through a whirlpool and losing half your forces. It looks like he's deciding, if I must lose someone, I will lose the rogues as opposed to the sprites. Oh, but he loses the sprites. And that was, it looks like 8 sprites that goes down there. Back to the orange cracked earth sort of area, it is worth noting, as Natasha makes her way south, it is worth noting that the cracked earth hero Maximus that's in the night, it is possible, and Winimaru will tell you this himself, this was part of his idea. Here you are. His indication was this. He said, now look, I'm used to playing on impossible difficulty. Winimaru plays on impossible difficulty. This map was played with normal difficulty. For the FHeroes2 AI, that means that the AI will operate differently from normal to expert difficulty, impossible difficulty, and it will also occasionally just throw you some curveballs because of the resources. Normal difficulty, you start off with way more resources than impossible or hard difficulty. I think that Winimaru identified that by leaving a couple of the unicorns in Orange's Castle as a garrison, that he might have cost himself an opportunity. If you leave a castle open with normal difficulty, the AI will generally rush towards the open castle. And Winimaru later recognized, he said, that was a mistake. If I had left the castle completely open, Maximus might have landed, and then I might have saved myself some heartache. So I think that that is going to be the biggest. I would say that that's easily the biggest thing that Winimaru wishes he could have back. I know it would have saved him a couple of days by the time we get back there, but it's now that he made that decision. It's on this turn on month 1, week 3, day 2 that he's made that decision. And it's very interesting how a decision like that can actually end up haunting you a couple of turns later. Sometimes we don't know the consequences for our actions until a little bit further down the road. Okay. Now, at this point, we are ready to go, trying to just clean up the map as much as possible. The whole goal here is to make sure that you leave no enemy standing. The goal is to get to the upper right corner where you have purple player. The goal is to make sure that you can eventually take out yellow. Until you're able to do that, the map is never going to be won, clearly, obviously. Now, what's the best strategy in doing that? You've got basically 3 main armies that can go and do fun stuff for you. Again, Natasha, Rebecca, and Jem. Do you send one player to the upper right corner? Do you send one player to the island? And then do you send one player just around the map to try and clean up these loosey-goosey kind of people? And really, what Winimaru decides here, given that he can't really chase down that orange player, or rather he didn't give them the opportunity to simply land, he's going to have to make the decision of going through the final boat there on that coastline, the closest one right behind the pikemen, and tracking them down manually. But now the question is do you send your big force with the 3 phoenixes and then maybe risk losing the fight in the upper right corner to purple or something else like that later? Or do you simply just, hire another hero? Hire a new hero from Orange's castle and send them after the one final enemy. Time will tell, and there's no right or wrong answer there necessarily. At this point, both choices are equally reasonable. So you could really argue one way or the other, make darn sure that you finally take out Orange, or just split off the one force and see what happens there. We know for a fact that Maximus the Knight has a couple of peasants and a couple of other low-level creatures. It's not going to take much to push him over. And so if you want to send the one single force, you can totally do that. In fact, Winimaru is going to do even one better. He's going to go for option 3. He's going to find a little bit more forces than we just discussed. And when he goes to track down an orange player, he's going to do a pretty nice job. Okay, folks, so we have now had Natasha meet up with Rebecca here. And Natasha, it looks like, is going to take the bulk of the troops there. The interesting point to the very south of the whirlpool next to the gold tent is that is the site of the mini liths. The liths will take you to yellow's domain, and the liths will also take you to purple's domain. What Winimaru does not know at this point, though, is what is defending those liths. It could be black dragons, it could be giants, it could be any number of things. And the problem is that by not knowing, he is going to have to assume the very, very worst. There is still some RNG in this map where he could simply get to the very end and maybe get unlucky. That's possible. We don't like the probability of that. We don't want that to happen to him, but it could happen. And if it does happen, you just got to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and say, here we go, on to new and better things. Folks, it's going to be Astra the Sorceress taking the unicorns, taking a couple of these extra additional forces. Right now, she's going to take some night troops, guaranteed. Spells, yes. Blind, lightning bolt, with the knowledge that should be enough to take some of these forces. Is Winimaru going to take some additional forces on top of that? That's truly the question. Note that was a fast travel where Astra the Sorceress fought against those nomads on the whole other side of the map. Because she was able to run away from that fight, mystically, magically, she's able to be rehired here in the cracked earth, very, very far away. All eyes on Astra. What do you take with you? And it is going to be 5-speed unicorns along with a couple of the 4-speed rangers and a few of these 6-speed cavalries, not to mention 20 sprites. And ignoring the gazebo, I don't think that the time spent is worth it. If you were to barely not get into the boat on time, that would just be the worst. Absolutely devastating if you got so close and were so far away. Okay, Tyro. What to do with Tyro? I know that Winimaru is hoping against hope that a lightning bolt can strike out of the clear blue sky and just solve that problem of Tyro for him. However, it's not very likely. It's not very likely that such a thing will happen. So Winimaru is going to have to figure out something to deal with that one yellow knight. At this point, though, we are at month 1, week 3, day 4. The enemies might have meaningful and significant forces. Even on normal difficulty, it is quite possible that yellow could meet you with phoenixes of their own. It's possible. It's totally possible. And that is a scary, scary proposition. Now, what's also scary, again, the defenders of these liths, in this case, these crusaders, not that big of a deal. It's going to be a total of 8 crusaders. Thankfully, with the 67 rangers and the 3 phoenixes, this shouldn't be too big of a problem. Can we avoid any casualties at all? That will be the question for us. Yeah. That will be the question for us. So when I think back to my playthrough, I think that Winimaru did something that I need to learn from. When you are trying to play a speedy game and be as quick as you possibly can, you have to remember that the AI can only do so much. And because the AI can only do so much, you're always going to be better off striking them earlier rather than later for multiple reasons. Phixfox, I went the route of, I thought those black dragons that were behind that lith that we just saw Winimaru pop out of with that huge treasure trove. Yes, it was very impressive. Well done, Phixfox. You were able to beat some dragons, but did it really get me closer to my goal of wiping the enemy off of the map? And the answer is no. Winnie Morrow does a good job of knowing what his win conditions are and ignoring those juicy opportunities. And in this case, he could have maybe with the 60 battle dwarves fought that fight and beaten the black dragons to get the nice artifacts and to get limitless treasure. But if you do that, that maybe means that you can't defeat yellow now. And so why would you want to risk it? Why would you want to risk it? And so clearly this is the right choice, the right decision. Winnie Morrow was able to see through the traps and ignore all the things that wouldn't help you. And I'm very glad that he did. He's noticing at this point, by the way, that yellow did actually not do a great job. Yeah, the black dragons there. Those were the ones I'm talking about. He's noticing that yellow doesn't actually clear out much of their starting location, which I think is a bit of a surprise to him. I think that he says, wow, the yellow player did not even defeat the dwarves guarding 2 of their dwarven cottages in the yellow island. For any other player, for a human player, that is a non-negotiable that you must have. And I think that he is recognizing that the AI could be much tougher if they'd gotten those forces. And maybe he's just much better off because the enemy does not have such a nice head on their shoulders as Winnie Morrow does. These pikemen shouldn't be that big of a deal. The good morale at this point is just more annoying than anything. Yeah, more annoying than anything. And funny enough, that lightning bolt might come in handy later. And so Winnie Morrow might be a little bit sad that he spent the spell points there. It won't matter that much, but there's going to be one fight with Astra that they're really going to have to fight that is heretofore unknown. So with only a few movement points left, they do get into the boat. And they're recognizing that they can land. There's almost a question. Do I land to the south at the southern landing position, or do I land at the northern landing position? And Winnie Morrow ultimately decides land near the other boats, so that way the enemy will not run away from you into another boat and then lead you on this goose chase. Finish the fight where you can and be happy with it. Folks, in this case, it's going to be phoenixes that are through that lip. Very, very scary. I had to fight giants, and it wasn't that big of a deal. For Winnie Morrow, fighting phoenixes, definitely a tougher fight. But that is his quickest way into the purple player's domain at this point. He is walking there, but also after he defeats yellow, if he's able to defeat yellow, there's no guarantees at this point. If he is able to defeat yellow, then he's going to want to move these troops quickly from this southern island to that upper right corner. Will he get there on time? That is a little bit of a question. We have not yet clicked on that castle to see what those forces are just yet. My hope is that he does it quickly, because the assumption is that there's no phoenixes, or rather there's no crusaders and cavalries. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. It's quite possible that that is still going to be a thing. Okay. Jem is looking to land with these forces. Remember, Jem was off gallivanting with the orange player, and now rather than send Jem to the south to track down Maximus, the orange player, they are sending her to the upper right corner. Yeah, there's the phoenixes. And Winnie Morrow putting his hands behind his head, he's doing the thought process. He's saying a group of phoenixes, which I believe for the French players, the French Heroes Might and Magic community, I believe that that's equal to a pack. I believe that that's no more than 19 phoenixes, but more than 9. So we will see how that goes for him. I'm not too sure how that's going to go just yet. Yes, Tyro is in that area, and Winnie Morrow is saying, oh boy, a little bit scary. Looks like it's going to be Thalagar defending the castle with some cavalries. They did get up to paladins and not crusaders, but still, at this point, the phoenixes are not the only 6th tier creatures on the map, and that does kind of give us a little bit of a measuring stick for what we can expect out of the purple player. At this point, still, this numbers of forces are not that big of a deal. Winnie Morrow's not even dealing with magic. This is basically a magicless run, and I don't think that there's a problem with that. It looks like he's wanting to possibly get into the boat, and my thought process here is this. Look, you've got this extra hero, Natasha. Send her into the boat. Send her into the boat to go get our enemy. Have her go and get Tyro. Somebody's got to go get him. Use these forces to do that. But no, he spends the time to pick up the dwarves. He's going to find another way to handle Tyro at some point. It'll be kind of interesting when we see it, but oh boy, how's he going to manage this? This seemed to me to be the best opportunity. Perhaps he will send Rebecca into the boat with the phoenixes to really track down the enemy. We will have to wait and see. Okay. Manual adjustment of the defenders there. The defenders will make sure that no enemy backdoors into that castle area. Not too big of a deal. Jem is maybe the best of those 3 or 4 heroes there. Will she be the one to go up to the northern corner or not? Time will tell. He's almost wondering here, should I go to the south? Should I send Aerie and maybe like 2 of the phoenixes or 1 of the phoenixes to go defeat Tyro, who just has archers and peasants? unless you're going to eat some weird spell like a meteor shower, which is highly unlikely from a knight player, you shouldn't have any problems with just the one Phoenix winning that fight. But again, time will tell. So it's going to be Carlon that's going to go with these Phoenixes through these elves. It's going to be more of a temporary thing than anything, knowing that there's other high quality and fast creatures on the other heroes that should work out very, very well for them very soon. Gargoyle, is it going to go down? No, he is going to retain the one Gargoyle. That's actually fairly useful for his opportunities to go as fast as he can, picking up the Mercury for the +1 per day. Yeah, Gem is basically the hero you'd prefer to have win this fight. Carlon is level 1, as is Aerie. And at this point, Gem is at least up to level 4. Level 4, level 5, somewhere in that range. Astra is looking to land. She does. Oh, but she is so slow through the swamp. Oh, Winnie Maru. He does the face. He says, ooh. Winnie Maru realizes, I avoided disaster. Yellow player has been vanquished after taking Yellow's castle on the high seas in the middle of his island. Tyro the Knight tried to fight a fight that he simply could not. And that was the absolute end of Tyro. And so, without having to go and track down that enemy, Winnie Maru dodged an absolute bullet, and he knows it. Oh, he knows it. When you're gonna go for a high score, you have to rely on a little bit of luck. And that is not a shame. That's not a bad thing at all. All right, 106 battle dwarves against all these Phoenixes, folks, with the steel skin, with the bless. This is actually very doable. Despite the fact that this is not a might-based hero, the dwarf stacks are too high. The Phoenixes, despite their speed, are going to run into this buzzsaw. 100 little axes will carve through them very nice and neat. And so on day 7 here, month 1, week 3, day 7, purple player, if they have not already spotted this disastrous turn of events for themselves, they are going to very quickly realize that they are in trouble. There is just the feet of a purple hero in that right corner. Yes, just barely out of the fog of war. The gem shall continue on. It's going to be Lord Kilburn. He's going to be up to champions. This force should be enough. Even losing about 40 dwarves there to the Phoenixes, this should be enough. So it is a level 5 gem, no attack, no defense, healthy amounts of spell power with 5, and the rest all going into knowledge. Does he fight this fight right now? He's hesitating. Does he want to run around this hero and try and snipe the castle, maybe get some reinforcements? It's a bit of a question. But he's setting himself up for either choice depending on what he wants to do, and that's going to be the decision. And these forces are totally doable. It's going to be about 18 pikemen, 8 of the champions, 14 of the master swordsmen, 12 of the orc chieftains, and the Phoenixes. The only question is, what do I do with these right now? 5 attack, 6 defense on Lord Kilburn. 5 attack, 6 defense against the low, and by low I mean 0 attack and 0 defense of our hero here. So these dwarves are not going to kill one full stack. In fact, a stack of 60-something dwarves killed 3 champions. That's it. Oof. Feels bad. Feels really bad. And while you would really like to use your Phoenix's speed offensively, it was unfortunately required for Winnie Maru that he not fly across the battlefield and take the first hit with the Phoenixes, because he didn't want to run into the enemy's tough defenses there. He's going to pop the cure for a couple of extra HP. That is going to make sure that this Phoenix survives that retaliation from those pikemen. Anticipation is this. Master Swordsmen and pikemen are both going to go towards those 51 battle dwarves. That's going to leave the druids fighting orc chieftains. What a strange fight that is. Is this ultimately going to save the one Phoenix? With the good luck there, that stack of pikemen is gone. It looks like a weird sort of situation. The druids have walked across the battlefield to simply have a wet noodle fight with their friends, the orc chieftains, and in 50% melee range, yes, indeed, it is going to be Lord Kilburn that goes down to that hero there. Very cool. Very nice to see. And there's orange player on the bottom right. There's one hero. Oh, it looks like it's going to be a couple days. Here's the question. You got this army and you got some spells. Do you use this army to go through this group of rocks? That is a dangerous question, because in the swamp, your movement is so lessened that you might have to go through the rocks to possibly end the scenario one extra day sooner. Do you risk it? Do you risk it? It's going to be 15 of the rocks. We're on group formation to try and prevent any sort of shenanigans. And that blind made this fight go from, okay, doable, we can probably win this fight, to absolutely a crushing victory for Winnie Maru. The blind onto those unicorns, and he's still going to attack, but he's going to wait on the unicorns. Oh, he decides not to attack this first go. Not a bad decision. Not a bad decision at all. I got a feeling that those unicorns still have one more good solid blind left in them. A couple of rocks, not a problem. The cavalries are all going to go down in this fight, unfortunately. Not your favorite thing. There's that extra blind I was talking about with the unicorns. Phixfox, you telling me that you knew what was going to happen? Hey, maybe. It's interesting after you watch a playthrough. It's interesting the things that you do remember and the things that you don't remember. For some reason, I remembered that those unicorns got 2 blinds off. Interesting. Interesting. The human mind is a very interesting thing, and it makes me wonder, what sorts of things did Winimaru remember from his previous attempts to really work this game and this scenario down to the very best it could be? It's going to be Thundax the Barbarian. 31 Rangers is not a small amount of Rangers. 21 Orcs in the bottom corner, not a small amount of Orcs. Still, the Phoenixes are going to be doing too much. Lord Kilburn truly was the purple champion, and now Thundax is going to lead this ragtag group of forces to their untimely end. Is that going to be the end of purple? Folks, purple's been vanquished. We have lost the green player. We have lost the red player. We have lost yellow, green, yellow, red, purple. It's just orange. No! And Winimaru is 1 movement point short of defeating the orange enemy here. Devastating heartbreak. Does not even get to finish it off. And that 1 day is going to make sure that he finishes at 24 days instead of 23 days. And that is going to put him and Mushan Kipe at the same level. They are both going to finish this scenario at 24 days. Co-champions, amazing playthroughs from both of them. Very impressive, and I'm grateful that I've gotten the opportunity to see these players go. It is my goal to touch base with Mushan Kipe and just see if he is willing to let me also do a Phixfox Shoutcast. I have not reached out to him yet, so I can't guarantee you that that video is going to happen. But as you can tell here, folks, this is the rankings for all the players. We had Aryan Elvin with 80 days, Mushan Kipe with 24, Winimaru with 24, Tundar with 44, Capsberg 53, Furfine 41 days, Alex Shikari 55 days, Alex the Showman did not finish, but they had a very reasonable, well done playthrough all the same. Syrupy 7 Strawberry with 65 days, and the real Phixfox, I did come in at 43 days. I consider myself at a 4th place finish. It was nice of Ross to say we will tie 1st place, 2nd place, and 3rd place, but clearly this is 1A, 1B, 3rd, and 4th. So Netheril did a really nice job in what they did, and I've also enjoyed their playthrough. I think that I learned some nice things from Netheril as well. I think that they did a better job of using the advanced navigation than I did. Very nice. My strategy was just to get the first 7 days down, and so I played from the yellow position multiple weeks. 1 week multiple times. I probably played Potluck about 6 or 7 times and went 7 to 10 days deep. I didn't go any further than that, and I definitely should have. My goal was just to make sure I had the first 7 days down. Clearly, these other players had a strategy that transcended just the first little bit, and they knew how to drive home their advantage and get a victory. Winimaru, chief among them, along with, again, Mushan Kipe. And shout out to my friend Tundar as well, coming in at 44 days. There was a nice grouping at the very front. There was a nice grouping of us players in the 4 through 6 position, and everybody had a very fun strategy, and every color was chosen and every faction was chosen, which I think is lovely and amazing and wonderful. So congrats to the winners of the KhelbensCoinTV Open here in 2025. I don't believe that Ross is planning on hosting another one in 2025. I believe we're gonna have to wait until 2026. But in the meantime, it's always great to see wonderful players do wonderful things. And I am grateful to get to see everybody else's approach to this same map. Funny enough, recently on the Reddit page for Heroes of Might and Magic, I saw that there was a graphic that was made for the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 map, the Mysterious Island. And if you do not know, Mushan Kipe, Winimaru, Pixo, Lexiov, several players have done that map, and there was a nice little write-up on that, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Here's all Phixfox's stuff. You can tell what Phixfox likes to watch. basketball, Impractical Jokers. I don't know what this is. Anyway. So with that being said, folks, grateful for the time, grateful for the energy. Thank you so very, very much for all you do. And please do me a huge favor, because I think that you know what's coming next. Ready for this? Look after you. Look after your friends. Look after your family. Take very good care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? My name is Phixfox. I'm looking very much forward to seeing you in the next Phixfox Shoutcast. Take very good care of yourself until that time. Till then, I'm out. Peace.